I mean, we're at 11 now, and I just don't know how to pull, how the team has to pull themselves off the mat right now. And it's incredibly frustrating. And look, sometimes, things go against you, calls go against you, a challenge goes against you, and you just have to overcome. But, when the team, and look, I imagine that every guy in the room hates the word fragile, but it's apropos, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's a word. There's like certain words that professional athletes don't want to be called. Fragile is one of them. Soft is one of them, right? When you hear that, those are like the most derogatory phrases in the team collectively right now. There's a fragility to their game, and I know Mike Yo and the coaching staff's doing everything they can, but you can only say so many things, and it ultimately just has to happen, and it hasn't, and that's the frustrating part. And it feels like lather, rinse, repeat right now with this team, and the same things hitting them over the head over and over again, and they're so consequential, and they can't seem to respond to them in the proper way. They get the lead in the game, but then that happens where they get the power play goal, and then they go in the PK again because of the challenge, and they end up trailing, and that's all she wrote basically.
I have to be honest, coming into this game, when I learned that Michael Hauser was starting, I was a little concerned that the Flyers might make him kind of look like Jacques Plante. And as Timmy said, that's kind of what they did in the third. First period, I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong, because they were able to get a bit of a muffin past them to start things off. And then the deflection. And after that deflection from Giroux, I got to tell you, I kind of thought that the floodgates were going to open a little bit, just in terms of, okay, this guy's playing his fifth career game, his first this season. As Timmy said, they're down to their sixth string goaltender at that point, due to injuries and COVID and all this fun stuff. But he was he was able to quell any momentum the Flyers were trying to build there in the third, which they, to their credit, did try to build a little bit of it there at one point or another, but they couldn't get anything past them, really.
Yeah, and he made some good saves in the game, and he was able to build confidence, and it helps when the other team, your team, is scoring and puts up
Right.
six. It takes a lot of pressure off you as a goalie, especially as he hasn't played a lot in the NHL. I mean, I'm going Michael Hauser, who Doogie, like what's going on here? Maybe Doogie Hauser, and I don't know who this guy is coming in. Not many people did, and they come in and they get a win. I mean, the Flyers outshoot them 33-24, but give up six. And we mentioned it at the first intermission that this is a save percentage killer for the Flyers goaltenders, and it was. It turned out to be that. And Martin Jones clearly didn't look like he had his game today. And look, the goaltending overall this season, Brian, for the Flyers has not been the issue. But when, in a game like this, when you grab that 2-1 lead, and, that could have been a pivot point for them moving forward, because they got scored on first, and then they came back and they got two and they took the lead. And they responded to that first goal of the game. But then ultimately, the dual power plays did them in. And then the Peyton Krebs out of the box one after you have a power play. And then as soon as your power play expires, the guy that comes out of the box goes down and buries one on you. And those are those moments that we talk about, like elements of the game you have to, even if you don't execute and get a goal, you got to grab momentum out of it. And it seems like it's reverse momentum on too many occasions. And Krebs comes out and he gets the breakaway goal. And now all of a sudden you go, oh my God, now we're really on our heels here.
I gotta wonder how much of these things have. I mean, again, the power play swing there. That's some bad luck. First off, the goal that led to the power play, obviously a little bit of bad luck on everybody's part. And then the Flyers could dead to rights have had the offsides challenge. It just again. It was not conclusive enough to make a decision. Is what the decision ended up being.
Think about the swing on that, right?
Yeah, it goes from being nothing to 2-0, and again, they're able to pile that last one on before the break, which obviously ends up being an even bigger dagger. And then you have the one you were describing right after the penalty kill for Buffalo. They were able to tally on, and I got to wonder if. I think obviously that kind of stuff happens more often. The team is more susceptible to things going bad in those situations when they are in this fragile state. I mean, they're at the point where it's like, man, everything that can go wrong is going to go wrong. And Cam Atkinson was talking about it the other night that nobody's going to drag them out of it. It's only going to be them that can get themselves out of this hole.
Totally. And I totally agree with Cam. This is the only way to come out of it is for them to come together as a group. It can't be one man. It can't be two men. It can't be 8. It's got to be all. And that's the only way they can pull themselves out of this right now. And, it's weird because in hockey and in pro sports, sometimes you can get adversity, and every time when things are going well, you overcome it without fail. You don't even have to think about it. It just happens. And then there's other times, and this is the converse of it. Anytime there's adversity, it can crumble you. And right now it's crumbling them. And every mistake seems to end up in the back of the net or consequential. And that's what's going on. It's, the opposite of good right now. And that's obvious, but this team in any situation that they're dealing with where adversity is hitting them and it hits you in several different ways, it has not responded in the right way. And it's been consequential. And that's why you have 11 straight losses and you go to Buffalo and you lose an 11 straight game. And Buffalo's not a good team. You look at this, Bri, and it's interesting because last year was a miserable season. We know about that month of March, right?
Right.
And, as bad as that season was, and it was a shortened season, and maybe that speaks to it a little bit. But the Flyers' record last year, they finished 2 games over Hockey 500, 25-23 and 58 points. Buffalo last year finished with 37 points. 37. So the Flyers had 21 more standings points than Buffalo in the offseason. Flyers made a lot of changes this offseason. Huge changes to their roster and the mix and everything else. And look, injuries and all that and COVID and it's hit every team are a part of that. But right now the Flyers through 41 games have 34 points and Buffalo through 41 games is 34 points.
Right.
Flyers have moved in the wrong direction. They are now 7 games under Hockey 500, 13, 20, and 8. If you really want to look at it, they're 13 and 28. They've won 13. They've lost 28 games. And you mentioned in the beginning of the broadcast on the pregame show, you go back to that 2006-7 season and you look for ways to move forward and make some savvy trades and make some deals and, restructure this whole thing and, bounce back. And that team went to a conference final. But there's a lot of work to be done. And it's evidenced because you are what your record says you are. And the record right now says the Flyers aren't good. And we didn't need the record to show us that. We got eyes.
Right.
We got results. And they're 1 point ahead of the Devils. Last year in that shortened season, the Devils were 45-point team, 13 back of the Flyers. They're just, it's unbelievable. And, I'm not a big believer that, I'm getting a lot of people on social media saying they need to make a deal and they need to make it now. Right. Okay. I understand that, but you're not going to get full market value now.
Right.
Because there's no deadline that's not 2 months away from now for rentals. Teams don't grab rentals now. When they get them later in the year towards the trade deadline, it's also cheaper on their salary cap because there's more games that are burned off, right? And so, there could be hockey trades to make. Chuck Fletcher's now obviously in a position where he's not trying to save a season, so he doesn't have to go desperation.
Right.
Now he's got to be savvy.
Yeah.
I think that's where we are.
Yeah, there's no reason to do anything now because, if you do things now when there's a sense of urgency, like the team is going to, turn things around and go on a run or something like that. And, I don't think any trade is going to do that right now, given where this team is at the moment. Even if everything was clicking as well as it could be with the 18 players that dress every night, you're still missing 7 and maybe now 8 guys with Wade Allison, and half that group is kind of some of your best players. We'll get to that in a little bit. And here, I'm looking at what happened. We finally found it. I couldn't find it earlier, but we just did find it on Twitter. Chris Marr was able to tweet it. That being said, I don't want to pile on with this game because I think this is a team today where things aren't going well for this team, and they haven't been going well now for 2.5 weeks. But this was a a bad game for a team that isn't doing well right now. This isn't a good game for a team that's doing well, and it's just just another log on the pile of the last 11 games. This was a day when a team that's struggling anyway had a particularly bad game, and it started in net with it was not Martin Jones's night. We saw a couple of pucks go right through him there in that first period. There were a few other aspects of the game that weren't going well. The penalty kill, which has been, they've been trying to get that going, and for the most part, it hasn't been terrible. It was off tonight, so it's to me, this isn't like this isn't necessarily a gas can on a fire that was already going bad. This is just all right. They're going to write this one off, and they're going to come back and have a good practice tomorrow, and then try to do something with this back to back. Here on the flip side of things. So
Dallas and the Islanders.
Yeah, so that's kind of the way I look at it. I don't think it's panic mode by any sense of the imagination. But let's get a break in, and then when we come back, we're gonna chat about Wade Allison, and we'll take a look at what happened with him, and we will continue on with this wrap up of today's game in Buffalo. Flyers Game Day post game show. Brian Smith, Jason Martinez with you. And we'll be back with more in just a bit here on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
Oh, stream people. Yeah. That's Pat Egan beer league numbers.
Welcome back into the Flyers game day post-game show. Flyers fall to the Buffalo Sabres by a 6-3 final. They will head back home now and get set to take on the Dallas Stars on Monday night. Front half of a back-to-back. Dallas here on Monday. Flyers will be back up on the island to take on the New York Islanders on Tuesday for the third time in the span of about 10 days. A couple opportunities. They hope to end this winless skid, which has now reached 11 games with the loss today. Flyers had already lost several players to injured reserve. The most recent had been Joel Farabee, put on there this morning, I believe, or late yesterday. Going to be out for about a month. But Wade Allison comes up, his first game of the season. And Jason, he appears to re-injure himself. This happened right near the halfway point of the game, about 10 minutes into the second period. He's trying to change direction, and he turns to kind of stop. And I'm honestly can't tell which leg gave out, if it was his left or his right.
I think it's the right one.
It might be
weird. It's very bizarre looking. Yeah, and he's laboring that right leg as he's skating off. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
We're watching him. We're watching it here, and you can find this play on Twitter if you want to look for it. Chris Mayer's got it. He's one of our folks that we hear from quite a bit. But he turns, and it's his right leg that kind of just buckles under him as he goes to turn. He gets right back up, but he's definitely not at full speed, and he goes straight to the bench. And I was trying to find this play. This was eventually apparently his last shift, I think. I don't think he tried to play after this. I was just trying to track down when exactly he skated last, and I think it was. I'm looking at the shift chart. I think he did try to skate again later in the period. I thought his last shift was right before the end of the period. It was during the power play the Flyers had late in the second period. He was out there for a little bit, so he might have tried to come back and then couldn't continue after that. He did not play at all in the third. So whether it's a good thing or not that he tried to come back out, I don't know. But it's certainly it really is just terrible that if this is something that's going to keep him out for a length of time again.
Yeah, and I'm going to clip a better version of it because Chris kind of just used his phone shooting his TV, and I'll clip a good version of it and post it. But, I mean, he's just been beset with so many injuries at this point, right?
Right.
And you just hope this isn't something, with a knee twisting or something like that. And there's so much pressure on the knees and the ankles. Mm-hmm. And the ankle was the injury earlier. Maybe it just kind of gave out on him there. The strength is not going to be there, what it normally is for him. So, I mean, it's another injury to deal with. And, you're playing with a short bench at that point without him, and you're relying on him to, give you a little bit of offensive punch and some forecheck. And unfortunately, he goes out. So maybe we'll get an update after the game, or at a minimum, probably tomorrow, on exactly what he's dealing with. But he didn't come to the game or return to the game once they officially pulled him out. I'm trying to see if he skated another shift, but yeah, it's a weird looking play for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. You made me think there. I went and found the feed that we have, which is a little bit clearer. And it looks like he turned, and when he turned and went to put his weight on his right leg, his skate just moved backwards, and then his weight continued onto that leg, and that forced the leg to bend. And I think he had. It wasn't the same knee twice, was it? Wasn't it each knee that he hurt? I wasn't 100% sure of that, but I'm sure whatever it was. It's both of those knees have had troubles for him in the past. So that's where you get concerned that it might be some sort of aggravation of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to look a little earlier in that shift too to see if he was laboring at all. And this was just like he doesn't look like he's skating at full tilt. He's pushing kind of weird just prior to him kind of taking that pivot and falling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely laboring prior to that.
Yeah, so that shift ended at the that shift ended at the 10-minute mark, which is the one we're
Yeah.
talking about right now.
He
did not
spun around 10:14,
Yeah.
10:10. Yeah.
He did not play again until the power play. He went back out with 2:50 left in the period, and he played He took one shift. He played minute one. So he did try to come back out and see how it felt, and then after that did not go again. So
he looks labored way early in the shift too. He dove for a puck earlier, and he's out there a long time. That's not
that was a minute and 36 shift there. That was the one that he got injured on.
He's out there a while, and he got hit behind the net at the 11-minute mark. He stayed out there, and he's in front of the net battling, and he looks a little labored from that point on. I don't know if that hit did something to him, but we'll keep CSI in it, and then we'll inspect it. And it's not going to change anything for his prognosis and what he's dealing with, but that's a shame. See, he's just been hit with so many injuries, and a guy gets out of college, he's just trying to make his way to be a pro, and it's one thing after another. It's unbelievable.
So just looking again back at this contest and down some of the numbers that we haven't gotten to yet, the Flyers did outshoot the Sabres 33-24, including 13-8 in the third period, and 11-6 in the second period. And the possession times were basically 50-50 in this game. It was about a 30-second difference, if not less than that. Flyers had the 33 shots on goal. They had another 29 total shot attempts. So they had 62 attempts in this game. And that compares to the Buffalo side. They had just, let me see here, 24 on goal, and then they had another 12. So they had 45 total. So they definitely got more pucks to the net than the Flyers. But again, it was, just the off night for goaltending that kind of did them in. Travis Konechny had 9 shot attempts, but 6 of them missed. So a little bit too perfect maybe on those ones. But the captain trying his best to carry the club. 2 goals in this one. 7 shots on goal, 9 total attempts, 13 for 23 in the faceoff circle. He's doing everything he can. Cam Atkinson with a pair of assists, 6 shots on goal, trying as well. But right now it's just not enough for the top group to pull the weight. It's got to be distributed a little bit further down the line. Yeah,
one player doesn't win you games, and one player doesn't lose you games. Well, sometimes the goaltending can do that. That's proven. But
they can win it too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, when the team in front of you can be, not playing well, a goalie can steal one for you. I go back, look at Vejmelka, the goaltender in Arizona. They got outshot in a game against Toronto, 48-17. They won.
Yeah.
Right. And
it happens.
It happens. But when the goaltending's not great and doesn't start off great like it did in this game with Martin Jones, there's a feeling that goes through all the skaters, the forwards and defensemen's head that, okay, my guy's not on it today. And if I make a mistake, it's in the back of the net. When you're playing the game locked up like that, that doesn't help either.
Right.
And because you have to play it having a lot of confidence in that guy behind you. And the confidence is eroded. And I think that's, obviously one of the reasons why I think Mike Yeo made the change in the game. Carter comes in and he gives up a pair as well. But just, you got to move forward. And, Dallas on Monday coming in here, they got a little revenge against Dallas because Dallas beat them on that road trip earlier this season. And got to find a way to stop this. And again, like Cam Atkinson said, it's going to have to be those guys. It's going to be the players. And they got to find a way to bring it together and see what the latest is on the injury front. And, somebody else might have to come into the lineup and have to contribute.
So you hope that it's an angry, frustrated group that shows up on Tuesday or Monday, rather. Excuse me. It's so hard to tell what day it is this time of year. But they've got the Dallas Stars in, and then again a back-to-back against the Islanders, so a chance again to get on the top of things here and try to turn things around. They'll have a few days off after that game before the Los Angeles Kings come into town next weekend. So that's what's coming up just ahead here. For the Flyers on the docket. We're going to go ahead and put a wrap on this version of the Flyers Game Day post-game show. Jason, we just hope for some more energy and a renewed sense of purpose coming in on Monday.
Yeah, it's an opportunity on Monday against Dallas to come in and start to get foundational building blocks of positivity, positive things, good things happening, and it's going to it starts first shift of that game and that first period and not giving up the first goal and, playing a game that is devoid of mistakes as much as possible and go out there and put yourself, get goaltending, be sound defensively, and come together as a group, because right now 11 straight losses is it's no fun for any of these guys to come to the rink. I know that.
All right. Well, we'll see if they can't start it on the right path on Monday. Again, that'll do it for this edition of the Flyers Game Day Postgame Show. Lots of folks to thank. Pat Egan, our producer, back at the station doing all the right things there, and all the folks up in Buffalo getting us up on the air tonight. Peter Grosskopf was our engineer on site in Buffalo. For Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, and Jason Martinez, I'm Brian Smith saying so long. Once again, your final score tonight is the Buffalo Sabres 6 and the Philadelphia Flyers 3. We'll talk to you Monday night, Flyers and the Dallas Stars at Wells Fargo Center right here on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. See ya.
See you guys. Oh. He appeared not right on that shift from the get-go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, from the face-off, it kind of looked like he was, but he was out there a minute and a half. So very strange.
I ended up
all right.
Had to put the stream on my phone because my computer needs a restart badly.
All right, I'm gonna go lay down because I feel like hell.
All righty, well, feel better.
All right, everybody.
Folks on the stream, thanks. We'll see you soon.
See you Monday.
All right, take it easy.